Hi, I'm Howard Klein, and in this video I will discuss 3 administrative tools to be used with the Total eReceipts email receipt functionality. The first is the TER Email Settings Manager. The second is the TER Email Set Report, and the third is the TER Email Member Import Utility. All 3 are utilized on the IMM server. The TER Email Settings Manager is configured by the IMM installer, but let's review the settings in this utility anyway. Let's go to Start, Programs, Total eReceipts, TER Email Settings Manager. Let me bring that down. Now we are only concerned with the second tab here called Email Server Settings. Following a new installation of the product, these fields will be populated with IMM demo data, which the installer will change based on the information you give to him or her for your particular financial institution. The first field is for the email server name. The second field is the port to be used. The third field is for the from email ID, the email address you'd be used to send from. And the fourth field is for the blind copy emails that you may want to use. The other fields are to be used with user authentication, and you would have a username and a password field here. Typically this username would be the same name as this. The next utility we will discuss is the TER Email Set Report, and you can access it by going to Start, Programs, Total eReceipts, TER Email Set Report. Let me bring that down. Okay. Now these entries are only those that failed to be successfully delivered to recipients, not all the ones that were successfully sent. The way you may want to use this report is by sorting the recipient name column to group them so as to quickly identify which members' emails are an issue. You can then take note of them so you can correct them within Total eReceipts later. Clicking the Reprocess Error items will attempt to resend all the emails listed in this report once again. If you want to delete selected records, just click here in the checkbox and click Delete Selected Records, and they'll be deleted. You can also purge records based on how long they've been in the system by setting the number of days here and clicking Go. We will now discuss the TER Email Member Import Utility. This utility enables the import of member email addresses, names, and member numbers so that information does not have to be entered manually for each member. The import file must be a comma-delimited text file or CSV file, and the text file should contain carriage return line feed or CRLF as the row delimiter, and each row should contain the following fields separated by a comma delimiter in the given order: member number, account number, member prefix, member first name, last name, suffix, full name, and email. And if you don't have all of this information, that's fine. The account/member number, the first name, last name, and the email, of course, would be necessary for this. Each field is enclosed in quotes and variable in length. In situations where a member number has multiple members associated with it, then the text file would contain multiple rows with the same member number but a different member name and email. The end of the file will be identified by a blank row. The text file is imported into the TER server database table. Let me show you how to use the import utility, and I will use a simple spreadsheet as my source document. Here is the spreadsheet I will use. Let's open the utility by going to Start, Programs, Total eReceipts, and we select TER Email Member Import Utility. Let me bring that down. Okay. Now, we want to select the Browse button to browse to our CSV file. which is on the desktop. Here it is. Open. And from here we just click Import. Okay, so below it says import process completed for 5 records. Imported records is 5. Conflicting records is 0, and invalid records is 0. We can click on the Imported Records tab to see the records that we imported. And we can click on the Conflicting Records tab to see the records that had an issue in the import process. We didn't have an issue here, but if we did, we can decide how we'd like to handle those records that had an issue through the drop down here. You can choose to override, which means that the conflicting record that would show up here would actually become the new record for that particular member. So if you click override and you click in the checkbox here and click go, that particular entry would override what you originally had in the database. You can also have add new, make default, which means that let's say you had a member in the database already with a specific email address, and now you have the same member with a different email address. You can add that new entry with the new email address and make it the default record, or you can have you can add the new email address and not make it the default record. So you would have 2 entries for that same member with both of these choices, and the difference would only be which one would be defaulted. And lastly, you could choose not to import that particular record, and then, as I said, you would click those records that you wanted to apply those changes to, and then click Go. Well, that does it for the Total eReceipts email receipt feature administration functionality. If you haven't already done so, please view the video on the email receipt feature user functionality. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.